What's up guys, it's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today we're actually going to be talking about the arena, specifically arena defense, and how having a defensive team where you're thinking outside the box a little bit can actually help you to hold your rank and allow you to actually climb in some cases. So first I want to start off always, anytime I'm going to talk about my arena teams or any champions on my account, I like to start off with my Great Hall so you guys can get an idea of the bonus statistics that I already have. Coming in from the Great Hall, I'm sort of a mid to late game player. Been focusing on my Great Hall a lot lately, trying to build it up mainly for Clan Boss. But you can see here the different bonuses I have for the different statistics. We are in Gold 4 Arena. I do tend to stay pretty much near Platinum most of the week, so we usually do have the plus 20% for all of our statistics. Our win rate right now is, as usual, is right around 80% because I do have a lot of test runs in here. You're going to see later in this video. When I'm working on my defensive teams for the arena, I do like to take them in live to the arena and test them against teams just to see how they perform, because really you're not able to get any type of feedback on how your arena team is going to work on defense unless you actually do test it live against other teams in the arena, since we don't have any kind of sandbox mode that we can use currently to test out our different teams. So that's kind of what you have to do. You're going to take some losses doing that, and as we talk about later, a lot of the times it's not necessarily about winning or losing. It's about seeing how long your team can last, how durable they are, how much they can actually tank in terms of damage, and how long it actually takes the enemy team to defeat them. Those are all things that are going to play into this video that we're going to talk about. So let me go in first. We're going to go into our champions here, and what we're going to be talking about today is just thinking outside the box when you are going in to set up your arena defense team. Arena is one of the more frustrating areas of the game lately for a lot of players. There's a lot of people that do have legitimate issues with where they are in arena and being able to progress, but there's also a lot of people who really haven't tried much to get better. You've got a lot of different camps in the game right now. People are just getting better at the game overall. There's a lot of videos out there, a lot of resources now. There's a lot of really good content creators for arena that are helping people get better at the game. And since the arena brackets have not increased in size, what's happening is the teams up at the top in Gold 4 and even in Platinum are getting a lot better. They're pushing more of the old accounts that were in those ranks further down into Silver and Bronze. So now newer players are having to deal with those. It's one of the reasons Plarium recently instituted the arena fix they just did, where it's now based more heavily on your account power, the types of teams you are going to encounter in the arena. But I still think they need to eventually expand the arena tier so you have more room for those teams to stay kind of where they belong, because right now the issue is a lot of those old teams that still have the speed that could stay up in gold before now getting pushed into silver and bronze, and it's creating a lot of issues. That's another thing kind of to mention too, is everybody talks about speed, and speed is not necessarily the best way to build your arena defense team. That's something we're going to go over a little bit here in a minute. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is a lot of times people are just using the same team that they use on offense on defense because it's easier to keep 4 champions built than having to build a second team. It's something I do understand, especially when you're in the lower ranks. I'm going to throw up a screenshot here. It's going to show you the team I use on my minimalist free-to-play account. It's kind of a unique team, but we do actually get some defensive victories with it more often than not. And that's kind of what our point today is, to kind of build a different type of team, not using your offensive team, but using some different concepts that are going to help you hopefully win more defensive matchups. Whether you're in gold, whether you're in silver, whether you're in bronze. I never claimed to be an amazing arena player. I know pretty good the different concepts and strategies to use in the arena. I do watch a lot of the really good arena content creators to kind of pick up some tips and see what they do. I watch a lot of Plat Reset streams on Sunday night. I stay up late just to kind of get the idea of what those guys are doing when they're trying to finish at Plat, so I can kind of improve my own teams, pick up some tips from them. But this strategy will help you in bronze, it'll help you in silver, it'll help you in low gold, hopefully. Just using some different ideas to sort of think outside the box. So let's talk about speed. We're not ever really going to go first on defense. That's not what we're really worried about. We want to build a team that's more in line, that's going to go second. So it's something to kind of consider when you are building a champion on defense. You do want to have a good amount of speed there so you're not getting completely lapped, but you don't need to have an excessive amount, because quite honestly, with the way teams are now, even down in silver, you're looking at 250 speed, and you may still not be going first. So you don't really worry about that too much. So let me see here. Let me find Vogoth here. One of the best epic champions in this game, by the way. If you guys have him, you haven't built him, if you just have him in your vault or you didn't think he was that great, absolutely incredible champion. Whether it's for dungeons, faction wars, and especially arena defense, this guy is really, really solid. So you can see here, he is an HP champion. So we're going to have him on defense, and he is in a shield set, basically because he has very high base HP. It's easy to build him to have a pretty high amount. You can see we've almost got him right at 80,000, which could be higher. Just my gear is not really the best yet. I'm still working on farming gear, farming Fire Knight, farming Dragon, farming Spider. Again, we're more of a mid-late game account. Still working on a lot of things. So the way we have Vogoth built is we have him in a shield set. We tried to get as much HP percent substats on this as possible. Tried to get a lot of defense in here as well, just overall to make him very tanky. And because of that, you will see he actually is in HP percent boots with a triple speed roll, because we still want him to have some speed, but we don't care about speed that much on our team on defense because they're not going to be going first. So we're not going to use speed boots on our tankier champions. We're actually going to put the HP boots on him, which is really going to help us pump up his HP. It's going to help that shield set he's wearing, which is then going to protect the rest of our teammates. Same thing on the gloves. We have a pretty decent speed roll on these, but we also have the full 60% HP. We want him to have as much HP as possible. We've got the HP banner, we've got the HP neck piece. We were actually lucky enough to get a reaction HP ring from Clan vs. Clan last time, so you're going to start seeing these accessories pop up a lot more in Arena now as we get more Clan vs. Clan, and you're just going to kind of have to embrace it. They're not going anywhere. It's time to just realize these are going to be in the game, and if you're building your defense team, these are really excellent to put on those champions because they are going to have that chance to change a critical hit into a normal hit, which is actually going to help you survive and tank that initial shot from the enemy team. So that's the one thing we wanted to kind of go over is you don't necessarily have to throw a ton of speed on your defense team. You want them to have a lot of HP. You want them to have a decent amount of defense. But that's another caveat too, is defense is not always the best stat to have on your arena defense, especially nowadays where a lot of your offensive teams, they're going to be hitting you very hard. They're probably going to have a buff stripper like a Madame Saris who's going to strip off your buffs, put that defense down. If you're in the lower ranks, War Maiden, who is one of the best champions in this game, as a rare champion, applies that defense down. You're going to be dealing with that quite a lot. So you kind of combat that by either having a very high resistance to resist that debuff, or you have a lot of HP, because when your defense gets cut down, if you've got a ton of HP on your champion, you're still going to be able to tank that hit from the enemy, even if they do have the defense down debuff on you. So that's one of the reasons I see a lot of people, they build for speed, they build for defense. They always forget about HP. HP is such an underrated statistic that you really need to have on your champions in a lot of areas of the game, especially in the arena. We're going to see that come into play later on in some of the match footage we do go over. But that's kind of the initial first concept when you're thinking outside the box, is going with an HP balance on your team. Get an HP champion that you can put into a shield set. Early on in the game, you get a couple of shield sets for free, basically from the login calendar. I believe you also get one from doing the Arbiter missions. You can start farming the Fire Knight as soon as you can get in there to try to get those shield pieces to drop. That's why we have a couple of really nice legendary shield pieces on Vogoth here. And then the concept you saw in that screenshot was we basically had an HP lead in there, which will buff up all of the champions on that team. It's going to give them a higher base HP. So our shield set champion, who's an HP champion, who's in that HP shield set, is then going to have more effectiveness, more shields to keep our team safe. So in the footage you're going to see, we're going to be using Sir Nick, who in this case you can see he's not even really built for the arena. He's in a destroy set right now. He's one of the main champions I use against the Scarab King in the Doom Tower, which is why he's in the destroy set. I had taken him out of it and put him into mainly an HP set, and had to readjust things when they reset the Doom Tower so I could still go through and farm, especially now that we're farming the Scarab King to get the untouchable gear. But you can see here kind of just a general build. He doesn't have a ton of HP. He's only right around 65,000, but with that 33% aura, that's going to throw a ton of HP into his base HP. It's going to give Vogoth a lot of base HP as well to make that shield set even more effective. The you will see us running Duchess. I just pulled her recently. She is probably one of the best champions in this game. She's definitely a meta champion in the arena on defense. Some people will use her on offense as well. But you can see there we've kind of built her the same way. We have her basically in full HP gear. We do have a resistance chest on her. Probably need to get an HP chest to make her a bit more tanky because she's only at like 76,000. It's another reason having that HP lead in there is going to help her out. It's going to make her even more tanky. And the reason she's in there, another concept we want to talk about for our defensive team, is having multiple revivers. So Duchess has got a revive. We also have her in a swift parry set. That's another thing you can consider early in the game. Even if you're in bronze or silver, you're probably going to have some swift parry gear lying around. I've talked about it in some of my free-to-play Friday videos. I have a Fang Cleric on my defense team on that account in a swift parry set. And then I have a Banshee on that team with a resist aura in the lead in a swift parry set. So people come across that defense, they're kind of like, what is this? They go into it thinking this is going to be a real easy win, and then all of a sudden we're resisting the debuffs. We're bouncing back with the swift parry unkillable buff, proccing at random, and we're able to scrap out some defensive victories that way. And it catches people off guard, especially that early in the game. You usually do get a couple pieces of swift parry very early when you first unlock the forge. They're going to give you some materials to actually craft those pieces. And even if it seems like a bad roll, if you can just put together a full set of swift parry, let me show you what it does here. You basically get 18% speed, and you get a plus 30 crit damage bonus and a 50% chance of unkillable whenever you're hit with a fatal hit. So 50-50 shot that you don't die. You see this a ton when you watch Platinum Arena streams. Everyone's complaining about it up there right now. But you know what? It's in the game. You kind of have to embrace it like the reaction accessories. And if you've got it, use it. If you're in bronze, if you're in silver, even if you can only roll the pieces up to 12 if you don't have a lot of silver, roll them up, put a set of 4 on your arena defense team, especially on one of your revivers, because if that reviver can get that unkillable proc and they survive, they can bring back 1 or 2 people on your defense. It makes your team really annoying to go up against. And that's one thing we'll talk about later, is just getting a reputation on defense when people see your team like, oh, I remember that team and it took me 2.5 minutes to beat that. I don't want to fight them again. And that's one of the ways you're able to kind of maintain your rank overnight, is when people realize, like, maybe we don't want to fight this team. People will start skipping you. And that's one of the things on most of my defensive teams, is that I maybe get hit once every 3 or 4 hours. And you see other people that are getting hit every 15 minutes. You want to go for that better defense team, so people start avoiding you whenever they see you on an arena page, because arena brackets are small enough, you will start to notice the same teams over and over again. And when you can kind of figure out, hey, I don't want to fight that team, that's kind of what you want to happen with your defense. So that's kind of why we have Duchess in there. She's there for the revive. She's there for the tankiness. And we've got her in the swift parry set. Another champion you'll see me use here, I have a second Raglan I was very fortunate enough to pull. And I also have her in a swift parry set. Now, we built her very, very high resistance, at least for, like, middle, lower gold 4. If you were up in platinum, this wouldn't be anywhere near enough, or even high gold 4. But her main job is she provides the defensive aura. I'll show you her aura here, which is basically 33% in all battles. So that's going to give everybody a bit more defense. Now, her HP is not super high, but she's usually able to survive an initial shot, and that's why we also have the swift parry set on her. If she does get hit very hard, she can usually proc that unkillable. She lives through that. She does her cleanse. She has a revive that's on a 2-turn cooldown that gets really, really aggravating, as you'll see later in some of the arena footage. So we run her and Duchess together as a double revive team. That way, between those two, usually we're going to have the revive covered. We're going to have the ability to stay in a fight long with the healing, with the tankiness from the HP. But you'll see that a little bit later here as we get into some of the arena footage. Another champion that I do use, if I can find her here, is also Rector Drath. I have her as well. I need to work on her gear. It's not amazing. But again, we've got her in a swift parry set. She is also there basically. Let's see, where's her? She has this revive here as well with 60% HP, and also puts a perfect veil on them when she revives. She's another champion I like to use if you're running a multiple reviver. Defense, she's pretty cool, and a good champion to build if you do have her. And there was one other wanted to come down and find it. So my current project right now, we're not going to see her today because she's not ready yet. And this is one of the things I also wanted to talk about too. When you are thinking about putting a champion into your arena defense, make sure they're in the gear that you want them to be in. Make sure they are built the way you really want them to be built. Don't use them before they're ready. Otherwise, you're just going to get disappointed. You're going to think they're not very good, and you're not going to give them a chance. Now, Ursuga is a great champion. We got her on defense mainly because she is an HP champion, and we've got this HP aura, which is ally HP 30% in all battles. You're going to see this concept basically done with Sir Nick here later on, and that's kind of the reason we wanted to go over her. She's my current defensive project. As soon as I'm done with her, she is going to go in as my arena lead to really pump up Vogoth, to pump up Duchess, give us a lot more tankiness. And you can see here, like, I'm very selective. I've had her for about a week and a half now, and I haven't rushed. I'm waiting to get the right gear pieces for her that I want. I'm going to try to get her an all HP % on the bottom, but you can see even just from the gear that we do have, you know, we went with an HP amulet, and unfortunately I didn't get any of the reaction accessories for her. I got a blood shield ring, but it was attack, so I didn't use it on her. You know, I don't have much in the barbarians, but I went for basically the best HP gear that I could get on her, and already, even though we haven't started really building her yet, we've already got an additional 8,966 HP from our artifacts. We've got another 912 from our Great Hall, and then we've got 4,500 from our Classic Arena. So even without any gear, she's already almost at 40,000 HP. So she is going to be an absolute tank. She's got a decent base defense, so her defense is already at 2,000 without any gear. We should easily be able to get that over 3,000 and get her very close to 100,000 HP, which is going to make her an absolute tank in the arena. And then giving that extra HP to Vogoth as well, stacking that shield set on top of her. It's just going to be a really aggravating defense to fight against, so that's what we're going for. And I may do a video with her when I do finally get the gear and kind of build her and show you guys my testing process. You're going to see that a little bit here when we jump into the arena as we go and kind of test the way the team works against other teams in Gold 4, so you can kind of see. But again, this advice is going to apply all the way down the ladder. So if you're someone that's struggling in bronze, struggling in silver, start thinking about building a different style defense team that's outside the box. Don't just use your offense team for defense. Go with a team that's going to have to take that first hit and then strike back. You're not going to outspeed anybody if you're on defense, so you want to be concentrating, building that high HP team, trying to get that HP shield set built into the mix. And you know, let's just go into gear. We can talk about a couple other things too and go for some gear sets that are important. Obviously, if you're on offense, you're going to want speed gear, but if we're building that defensive team, don't sleep on the resistance set. Early in the game, as I was saying, having that resistance is going to be very crucial because most people are relying, like I said, that very basic team they get at the start. You got your starter champion to nuke. Usually you're going to have the speed lead in there with either a Spirit Host or a High Katoon. You're probably going to have that War Maiden who's dropping that defense down. Well, most teams don't have a lot of accuracy early in the game, and it's actually easier to build resistance than it is to build accuracy early on. So if you can even, you see you get 40 from a 2-piece set here. You can get a couple resistance pieces with resistance substats on them and some HP % substats, defense substats. You can build a pretty tanky team that's going to resist quite a bit. You saw, you know, on my free-to-play account, we used Banshee, who's got a, I think it's like a 80, I think it's an 80% or an 80 resist aura, but even having just that little bit, 100, 200 resistance early in the game, you'll be surprised at how many debuffs you can resist on your defensive team, which if the other team's not landing that defense down, their nuker's not going to be hitting nearly as hard, and you're going to be able to survive that initial attack. And then if you can go second, you've got a good chance at winning that match on defense. So resistance gear, it's very easy to farm. You can farm it from the campaign on Brutal. You can farm it from the Ice Golem. So very easy set to get. As a set a lot of people sleep on. It's fallen out of the meta quite a bit up at the upper ranks of the arena, but it's still an excellent set to work on if you are lower ranks down in bronze and silver. Trying to think of what else here. So immunity obviously is a great set everyone knows about. If you can get your hands on some decent immunity gear early on in the game from Fire Knight, same thing with the shield set. That's what we were mainly talking about here, is getting a decent shield set, trying to get the HP % stats on it is kind of what you're going for. I actually was trying to use these boots here. I was hoping I could put those on Ursuga, but they didn't roll any speed, so wasn't real happy with the attack roll either. But you kind of want to start building a general set of gear when you're early in the game. looking for that shield set, looking for that immunity so you can not get hit with those debuffs. Those are another 2 sets to look at. And some other ones that can kind of help you out on defense as well. The stun set is actually surprisingly effective, and I did a video a while back talking about War Maiden, and I think it's when they did the 2x stun drops from the Fire Knight. We showed some arena footage there of War Maiden and Templar both in the arena using the stun set very effectively, even in Gold 4. You know, using when they use their AoE attack, like on War Maiden, she'll hit that, and sometimes it'll stun half the enemy team, and that's actually a really cool thing. So if you have someone on your defensive team who's throwing out an AoE attack that's going to hit all the enemies, if you can get them into a stun set that's got you know, good HP and defense rolls on it, that's going to make them tanky at the same time, but also allow them to throw that stun mechanic out there. It's just throwing what you can at the enemy team that they're not going to expect. So that's another set you can look out for. And that's why actually I recommend farming the Fire Knight as soon as you can get in there, versus a lot of people will go for the Dragon. And obviously that speed gear is really important. You're going to have a better time early in the game farming speed gear from the actual stage in the Brutal campaign than you will in the Dragon. But if you're in the Fire Knight, you can get all these different sets. You can get Stun set, you can get the Savage set, you can get the Shield set, you can get the Immunity set. Pretty much all of the sets, for the most part, that drop in Fire Knight are going to be very useful for you at any point in the game. One other set I do want to kind of give an honorable mention to here is the Avenging set. And this is kind of a cool set because it does give you a 45% chance to counterattack when you're hit with a critical hit. If you do have someone on your defensive team, like say a Skull Crowd, somebody that can hit very hard, and you can put them into this set, most of the time when you are going to get hit with that initial shot from the enemy team, they are going to have some critical hits in there. So if you're able to counterattack kind of for free with that set, that gives you a nice little advantage as well. So another set you can kind of use to your advantage there. I kind of wanted to just go over those because those are general sets people tend to have early in the game just from doing their dragon farming, just from doing their arena farming. Obviously the Swift Parry set you're going to get from the Forge, and it's a pretty solid set as well. We talked about it multiple times already. Like I said, even like look here, we've got a flat HP chest, but it's got a roll that could roll some speed. We've got a flat attack with a TS roll. We don't really care. We just want to put somebody in this set to get that unkillable proc. And like I said, most of the time we're going to use that on a reviver, a champ that's going to be able to revive, so they can kind of survive that initial shot and then be able to do some work on the defensive end. But I think I've rambled on long enough about this now. Let's go ahead and jump into the arena and actually show how this concept works with our HP team that we're using. Alright guys, so here we are in the arena. We're going to be doing some test runs with our defense team. At this one we are going with the HP lead and the shield set strategy. Basically Sir Nick here. He is actually built for my Doom Tower teams, but he's in here just to kind of show what we would be doing with Ursugo Warcaller, basically getting that big HP aura to buff up those shields to survive the initial attacks. We're not going to go first with this team. That's not the plan. The plan is to just tank whatever they throw at us. Survive, use revives, use our Swift Parry on Duchess if we have to, and just be generally annoying for the attacking team so that they can't put us down for the count. You'll see we do have those unkillables from Sir Nick as well that he does throw out there. And this is basically just so we can survive. The HP aura also does give Mordu Macabre a little bit more damage. He's actually a really fun champion to use on defense because of the RNG. When he hits his big peril ability, it can really change the outcome of a match pretty quickly. But the whole goal here is to just be annoying, tank as much damage as we possibly can, and then just survive for as long as possible. You want to have a team that's going to last a long time, and this is actually the reason you want to be testing your team out against the teams you have in Arena. I know it may cost you a couple losses, but when you're building a defensive team, if you're not testing it out against live teams, you're not going to really know how it's going to react and how it's going to perform. So it's very important you come in here, just do a couple arena matches and see how your team actually works together, see how all the skills line up, see how the passives work. That's another thing to keep in mind, is how the passives are going to work. So here's another match, same strategy. We're going in with the HP lead, we're going in with the shield set. Now unfortunately I did not pay attention here, and I went into a match with Lydia the Death Siren, and unfortunately she can kind of go through the block revive that Mordu is hitting there. You see, that's actually one of the reasons Mordu is really good, because he can block revive, and if you have him on defense, that can cause a lot of trouble for the enemy team. But they have basically a triple revive team here with Lydia, Siphi, and Arbiter, so they're also running a very annoying defense team. This is kind of to prove the point here. I wanted to kind of show two different ways that you can do this, one with the HP tanking, and then they've got the multiple reviver. On the other team, we actually do lose this match, but I wanted to include it in the footage just to kind of explain sort of the point here is that this match, even though we do lose this match, it goes for almost 2 minutes. So what happens is if your defense team can hold for 2 minutes or longer, or even like a minute and a half, depending on what arena bracket you're in, people are going to start recognizing your defense. And if they go against it once or twice, even if they manage to win, if it takes them 2 minutes or more, they're going to be like, it's just not worth it. You know, I don't want to take the chance that we lose to this team. We don't have enough damage to fight this team quickly. Most people in arena, especially in the lower brackets, are going to be looking for very quick wins. And once they know that your team is a very tough out in a very long fight, most likely they're going to skip it. So that also kind of gives you a little added bonus of, you know, people knowing that you have an annoying defense team. That means a lot of times you won't get attacked quite often. My defense team that I run in Gold 4, basically with Skullcrown, Raglan, Duchess, and Vogoth, I might get hit once every 3 or 4 hours. I don't get hit that often. A little bit more on Sunday night before reset, but usually throughout the week, I'm not getting hit at all, which makes it a lot easier to continue to climb up through the ranks because you're not losing those points overnight while you're sleeping. You're not getting hit during the day while you're at work. So just having that team that's got that kind of difficult reputation to deal with. You can see here this match is well over 2 minutes. And if, say, that was a live person on the other side, they're kind of just like, I don't want to sit here and fight this for 2 minutes. And I think there's also another match later on in the footage here we include for the same reason. But so even though we lose that match, it kind of indicates you've got two very strong defensive teams there. So if I was using my regular offensive team, I probably wouldn't attack that team because I would know it was going to take me a long time to go up against them. Here I've kind of switched things up. I've gone with my more traditional defense that I use, and we are going against the Hegemon team here. So our whole goal here is to tank that initial hit. Raglan is going to get the cleanse. She also has a swift parry set on her that helps her survive with that random unkillable once in a while. Obviously, Duchess has the swift parry as well. You've got double revive between Duchess and Raglan. The whole goal behind that team is you've got the defense from Raglan. You've got high HP across your champions. You've got Vogoth still in that shield set to provide some additional tanking. And it's basically all about surviving the initial attack from the enemy team, cleansing up, counterattacking, and taking them down. So even though this is a defensive team, they do have a lot of offensive potential with the Skullcrown. That's one of the reasons Skullcrown, Mortal Macabre, some of these champions are actually really cool to use on defense because they do have a lot of firepower, and it can surprise the enemy team when they attack you, and all of a sudden, you know, they go first, you survive their initial hit, and then you come back and you hit them with a big shot that takes them down. So that's why Skullcrown is one of the most sought after champions in this game. Being a void champion, being useful in many areas of the game, she's also great in the arena to use on defense and on offense as well. But you can just kind of see the way this team works. We're going to take those initial big shots. We're going to heal up. We're going to revive people. We got 2 revivers, so we're going to be staying in the fight for a long time. We're just going to outlast them, and even if we don't have a lot of damage, we're going to be hitting them back and getting the win again here in this case. Again, not trying to be impressive with these matches. We're just kind of picking teams. It's early in the week down in Gold 4, so we're just going with what we can. Here we got a pretty tough team with Amash Shalad, who's one of the most broken champions in Arena right now, along with Trunda and a couple others. Astralon's also a very tough champion to go against. But you can see here again, it's all about surviving that initial impact from the other team, whether you're using the HP tanking, whether you're using the swift parry sets to get that random unkillable to proc, and then reviving. Just do whatever you can to survive that initial hit, and then you're going to fight back after that. And again, it's not all about winning, it's about just being annoying, taking a long time for the enemy team to fight against you. I can't stress that enough. This is kind of why we talked about the different ways to make your team stronger with the HP. A lot of people will go too heavily into defense. Most of the times the teams you're coming across in the arena are going to have very high attack. They're going to have ways to bypass your defense. They're going to have ways to strip your defense off, whether they're using a Madame Ceres or another buff stripper. And that defense isn't going to do much for you. So you really want to have a lot of HP on your defensive team. And I'm talking like between 80 and 100,000 plus is going to help you if you really want to tank some of those bigger shots. And that's kind of why we were using the HP lead earlier with the Sir Nick, why we're working on building Ursuga, is because you get that additional 33% base HP added onto each of your champions. So that's like when we talk about Vogoth, he's got very high HP to begin with, but he's getting that extra 33%. He's got the shield set on top of that, which is then going to be applied across everybody on the team. It just makes it so your team can take a lot more damage, and if you have that revive, if you have the ability to cleanse and to heal after that initial hit, you've got a ton of survivability that you're able to last a very long time. Even if your defense isn't that great, that enemy team is going to hit you hard. You're going to survive though because you've got enough HP. HP is a very underrated statistic in the game in general, but just mainly in the arena. A lot of people are too concerned about having a lot of defense and they don't necessarily have enough HP, especially if you're getting into mid and high gold 4. If you're going in with champions on defense and you've got like 50 or 60,000 HP, you're just simply not going to survive. My Skull Crown, for example, is not built very well. I'm not what I would call an in-game player. I'm more of a mid to late game, and I'm still trying to get great gear. I don't have Savage sets on my Skull Crown. I think she might have one Cruel set, but she's at like 100% crit rate and maybe like 220% crit damage, and she hits for 70 to 80,000 damage. So even not a well-built arena nuker is going to hit you for well over 70,000 damage. If you don't have that much HP on your champs, you're going to get wiped on defense. So big thing to think about. How much HP are you bringing to the table? And that's why having that HP percent lead really helps. Even early on in the game, when we showed the screenshots from the free-to-play account, we're using our starter champion for their HP percent aura, and we're using another champion that's an HP champion in a shield set that we got very early in the game. It's not even a great shield set, but because we have that combination, even down in silver, even down in bronze, we're able to win defensive matchups. We're able to basically hold our position with defense overnight. When people try to hit our team, they're surprised by how tanky they are. And then my Aethel is built pretty well down there, so she's able to hit them back with a big AoE and usually take them down. So it's kind of interesting how that works. Here we're actually fighting against a Siphi and Rotos team. This was again another test. I knew I probably had no way of winning this match. They've got Rector Drath, another very annoying champion to deal with on defense, who's very good. I do have her built as well and run her sometimes on defense. But Siphi and Rotos is still one of the most powerful duos in this game, so it's good to test your defense out against a team that has them. And again, our goal here, just to see how long we can survive. This is a pretty standard defensive team that I run during the week, and you will encounter a lot of Siphi and Rotos teams attacking you on offense, so you want to see how durable you are against them. Again, you're not necessarily trying to win the match. I believe this is the other match that goes on for almost 2 minutes, and that was kind of the whole goal here, was just to see how long can we survive against this pretty solid team. With Rotos out here doing all his damage and, ignoring unkillable. That's the other thing that makes him pretty strong, along with his block revive. You can see there he ignores block damage, he ignores the unkillable. He hit for 80,000 there. So that's what I'm saying. Like, even early in the week, even in lower gold 4, you're going to have champions hitting you for a lot of damage, and that's why that HP is just so important. Look there, he hit us for 116,000, which is just crazy. I think, eventually here they do manage to start overwhelming us. I think we might get one more revive in here possibly, but I don't know. But you can see, though, we prolonged the match for quite a while. We went almost, we're 2 minutes here. We're still hitting back. We're still fighting back. I think Raglan is going to revive Skull Crown. See, it's just kind of annoying. So if you're the person attacking and you have to keep dealing with that, you're just getting annoyed. You're going to see that team on defense later on, and you're just going to say, you know what, I'm not going to fight that defense because I don't feel like wasting 2 minutes of my life. Here is an interesting one. I just kind of threw Jareg in here to kind of show you the same concept. We're basically using an HP lead again with the shield set, trying to be really tanky here. Even though we do lose Mordo there, we're going to get him revived. He's going to pop back up. He's going to hit for some big damage when he does attack again. We got the Ally Protect too from Jareg, but this is just to kind of show you, like, even if in Gold 4, you can use a champion like Jareg, who I have him built for Clan Boss. He's not even built for Arena here. He's just very high HP. He's got the Ally Protect. He's got the HP Aura, so he makes Vogoth better with that HP Aura. He makes Mordu hit harder. He makes Duchess more tanky. That's kind of what it is, just finding that synergy. And I put guys like Santa in here, I put guys like Jareg in here, just to show you that you don't need the super amazing meta champion in that lead slot. Even someone like Jareg, you can put him in here And even with the Ally Protect, you know, he's definitely got some abilities there that can help you be much stronger and tankier on defense and improve your other champions. So that's kind of why I just wanted to show this last match here. It does take a little bit of time. They do have the double revive going again. You're going to see that a lot on defense, and that's why a lot of people up in the higher gold, they're starting to run these double and triple revive defenses because it's very annoying to deal with. You don't see it so much down in the lower ranks, but that's why we wanted to talk about that concept, because that's something you can use to your advantage. You know, if you're a newer account and you do have a Gorgorab, if you have a Seal of the Drakes, even if you have like a Grinner, even your Shaman you get very early on, the first week you're in the game. You saw we had Shaman in our defense, you know, using down in silver on our free-to-play account. Just having that annoying revive can really work wonders for you on your arena defense. I think we're coming into a close here. This is probably going to be the last match we have. But again, kind of the same thing. We've got Dragon here for the HP aura. Even though he does go down, we do lose Duchess there. I believe Mordu Macabre actually is going to finish this off because he does hit so hard with that additional HP bonus. He's going to proc that peril, and you can see why that's why we have him in there. He hits that really hard, blocks that revive. But anyways, guys, this was kind of just the arena footage to show you, to kind of give you an idea of the concepts we were talking about. What we're going to do now is we're going to just jump back in to our champion roster, talk about a few other things, give some closing thoughts, and then we will move on. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this video on thinking outside the box with your defensive arena team. It's one of my longer videos. Unfortunately, it did get kind of long toward the end here, so I do apologize for that. If you did make it through the entire thing, I really do appreciate it. Again, you know, main goal here is just to kind of get you to think of different ways you can come up with teams, even if you're down in bronze, even if you're down in silver. Reevaluating how you have your defensive team set up, whether you go with a double or even a triple revive team, you go with a counterattack team, you go with the HP lead with the HP champ and the shield set to give yourself a bunch of tankiness. There's all kinds of different strategies you can use besides just trying to be fast, trying to have your defense go first, which is just really not a realistic way to build your defense. Especially in the lower ranks and in the higher ranks of arena. So hopefully this gave you some ideas. Hopefully you're able to try some different things, you know, try some niche champions. You never know what might work. You know, if you've got a Swift Parry set lying around, throw it on somebody, see if that helps. Just there's no reason to just kind of sit around and worry too much about it. Just go out there, see what you can build, test it out. Don't worry about losing those matches early on. Just try to test the team, try to see if you can build a decent team that can get you some defensive wins and keep you held in a rank overnight or through a reset period. I think it's really going to be helpful for you. So as always, guys, if you have any questions about anything you saw in the video, feel free to leave them down below in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them as soon as I can. As always, I hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you again next time.